Right, hello and welcome to this week's angling blog. Something a bit different on the channel this week. The video you're about to see is a session where nothing went to plan, both weather-wise, plan-wise, and apart from we did have some fish, recording-wise, everything that could go wrong really did go wrong. It could have been a very different video. Had parts of it gone right, we'd have made a very entertaining video. What you're about to see is the reality of blogging, or vlogging should I say, to the person who keeps asking me to say that in the comments. Instead of just recording this with my little man after work. And yeah, the video you're about to see is the reality of vlogging. It doesn't always go to plan. Sometimes it doesn't go to plan at all, like in this video, but I think it's important to show these, to show the reality of vlogging. So I hope you enjoy the video. If you do like the video, feel free to subscribe and like the video. There's a new video on the channel every Friday at 6 o'clock. So enjoy the video and we'll see you all at the end. Right, hello and welcome to this week's angling blog. Today you join me on the banks of a wet and windy River Severn. We're on the banks of the River Severn at Atcham on the Limb Anglers card. As you can see from the trees behind me, it's blowing a bit of a hoolie, and when I arrived at the river this morning, it was impossible to fish the stick float. We've had gale force winds blowing straight across the river into this peg and all up this stretch. And isn't that UK river fishing in a nutshell? It doesn't always go as we want, and sometimes you have to innovate on the bank. And luckily today I've brought along with me my barbel rod, because I was hoping to have a little bit of a go for the barbel at the end of the session. So what I've done is I've not even set up the stick float rod, because it's just not worth it. I wouldn't even be able to get the line out there. So we'll have a quick look at the setup and how we're going to approach the swim and try and make the most of this bad situation. So one thing that is vitally important with ground bait is to riddle it. It's had a bit of time to settle, and with all ground baits you get lumps, and the more water it generally takes to make the mix, the harder it is to go through the riddle. You can see a lot finer ground bait for plugging the feeder. Just gonna add some of the 6mm pellets into the ground bait. And like I say, I wasn't expecting to be fishing this today, so I've got to make the bait kind of last today, so that will help to bulk it out. Things like casters I wouldn't put in at this stage, just because they will dry out and tend to float. I'm going to put the casters in with the hemp and put that in the feeder, but just a few of them 6mm pellets in the mix means when you plug the end of the feeder, there's generally 1 or 2 pellets in the plug. And that ground bait now is ready to go. So as you can see, conditions are pretty bad. You've got a wind that's blowing downstream and into this peg, but that is the swim that we're faced with today. You can see the rod is already out. Now what I would normally be doing is stick float fishing down this line here, close in, but as you can see, you wouldn't be able to get your bait or the float out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fish a feeder down that dark water there, halfway across the river. Whenever I've been here, that's where the better fish have seemed to top. And I've also put some hemp and pellet just off the end of that tree down there, and I'm going to let that settle and periodically just try over the top of it. So let's have a look at the setup and the baits that we're going to use today. So really quickly I'll go through the setup for the session. It's my Corum twin tip rod, 12 foot, that you've seen in all the barbel videos on the Y and on the River Severn videos. Got that with a Corum shadow loaded with 10-pound line. Got that all the way down to a Corum camo quick change bead. That's a low resistance bead that fits above a bead that protects the knot. Behind that there we've got a quick change swivel so you can quickly change hook links, a camo sleeve to go over. When all that pushes together, you've got a nice, simple and neat presentation. Starting off with a really big corum open feeder to get some bait down in the swim, and then obviously I'll change down to a smaller feeder, which the Dinsmore's feeders are really good for that. They're not as big, and when you've got a better feed down and you're making quick casts, we'll change over to that. We've got an 8-pound hook link down to a tiny size 14 hook and a band. We've got a Sonia bait spicy sausage pellet, and that's an 8mm pellet. So that's the setup that we're going to be fishing with today, and hopefully we can try and get a barbel. That's the hope. Let's see how we do. And with the wind just dropping a little bit after doing the opening piece, along comes the rain, and yeah, this is going to be one of them sessions where I think we're going to struggle, and if we manage to get anything, it'll be a result. It's going to be a tough day in the office, I think. It's not gone to plan, and the weather isn't helping at all. But fingers crossed, if we keep putting that feeder out there, it might wrap round with a special fish. And at this moment in time, I'd settle for anything. And it goes without saying, definitely forgot to pack the brolly. As I say, it never rains, literally, but it pours. Far side, I was pinging little pellets down the inside line and moved over to a 6mm pellet, and the tip's just gone round straight away with a small little chublet. So let's take a little look at it. And there's that little small chublet. A welcome bite to start the session off. Like I say, been making a few casts about halfway across the river while pinging pellets under that tree downstream, and it didn't take too long for the tip to rattle around with this little guy, and it just shows how many miles there is to feed on this river. Let's get him straight back. And finally the tip has absolutely bombed round, and the fish has got me in some streamer weed. But hopefully we can get it in, and my heart is going 10 to the dozen. On the other stretches of the Severn that we fish, as you can see, we get plenty of bites, but this has been hard worked for, and just praying it stays on. In fact, I'd go as far as saying I've never wanted a fish to stay on so much in my life. And you know, what a wrap round bite that was. And I don't know what it is, it's got to be a barbel. Sometimes, you know, just reward for perseverance, and it's in the net. What a result, absolutely made up. And there we go. What a lovely barbel that is. Look at the colours on that. And I don't think I've ever wanted to fish not to come off so much in my life. Just shows them days where it doesn't go to plan. You know, it's been raining, blowing a hoolie to start off with, the lot. Just shows if you stick at it, sometimes you can get a result. And the £5, 13 ounces, proper made up. Proper made up with that. let's get the rod back out there and see what the next couple of hours hold. And like I always say on these barbel videos, the number one thing I was taught when people were teaching me about barbel is how much do you need to rest them. Resting it before it's had the pictures done, and then rested it after, and it's time for this guy to go back. There we go. Happy days. Happy days. Absolutely made up with that. Oh, I can't believe the rod absolutely wrapped round when I was speaking. And what a result. Shows you stick with it and you never know. Today has been one of them sessions where the plan went out the window, and plan B, well, we put it together in a roundabout fashion. I'm really lucky that I brought this gear with me. But am I made up? You bet. Proper made up. Let's get this lovely fish back. And as you've just seen there, we've had barbel number 2 on the bank. A lovely fish. But it could have been so much better. I was sat here saying that obviously I was fishing out there to begin with, and the move down here obviously paid off with the first barbel. But I was getting loads of taps on the tip, indicating there was fish about. Sat looking at the camera, the rod hoops round, I play the fish, thinking I've got the best footage in the world on camera, and I look back and I've just got a load of photos. So here's a couple of photos of an epic battle. And if that doesn't sum up today, straight ahead, blue skies, right above us, the biggest rain cloud you've ever seen. And doesn't that just sum up today? Can't complain with the 2 barbel, but today summed up in one moment. As you can see, nothing went to plan at all, and you know, we did have them 2 barbel, didn't we, which kind of, you know, made the video. But I must admit, when I put that headset back on and I checked the footage back and none of that piece had recorded when I'd got the tip bouncing round, I could have cried. I really could have cried. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and like I said at the start, hope it gives you an insight into what it's like to make the videos on the channel, and how sometimes it doesn't always go to plan. So for me, my little man, tight lines in your own fishing, and we'll catch you all next time. Say tight lines.
Tight lines.